Okay, I'm going to start with how to do a French seam. Fold it in half with the applique side out. It's going to seem foreign to you because every other seam that you do is pretty much always right sides together. But we're going to start with wrong sides together. And you want to do a narrow seam here. I have a serger, but for those of you that don't have a serger, I'm going to show you this with just using the sewing machine. So I am not going to worry about back stitching because I'm going to cut the bottom off anyways. And that's just personal preference. The length I cut the hoods out of a bath towel instead of a hand towel, so they're a little bit longer. And so I have just a narrow seam there. I'm gonna go through and just trim it up even closer. And I find that it's easier to just give yourself a little bit more room and trim it down than it is to try to catch both sides with a super narrow seam. But you don't want a bulky, you don't want this one to be very thick, like less than 1/4 of an inch, because you're going to encase this inside of another seam that will be inside the hood. So I've got a nice narrow seam there. Then turn it inside out. And poke the corner up there. Okay, now we've got right sides together, which is a normal way to do a seam. Okay, this one you're going to need to do a little bit wider than you did your last one because you want your last seam that you just trimmed off to be inside of this seam. I am going to go ahead and back stitch here because I haven't decided if I'm going to square this hood off or leave it pointy. Now, I have a serger, and I still do this with the hoods because I just like how finished it looks on the inside. So I'm not very straight, but that'll work. Okay, so now when I turn this inside out, or I mean right side out, so you've got a seam there, and then you've got this finished seam on the inside. So the next thing I'm going to do is, because I cut this from a bath towel instead of a hand towel, it's longer than I would prefer. So I'm going to go to my cutting table really quick and trim some of this extra off the bottom. Okay, so I cut that off at the length I wanted it. And I went ahead and serged it. Now, you don't have to have a serger to do this part. I did it so that you can see the contrasting thread and how it will be hidden. Now, on this one, let's make sure you can see this. I want to scoot the hood down just a little bit. So there's maybe 1/8 of an inch above it. That's so that seam will be fully encased. I'm just going to throw a couple pins in it. We're going to do this one twice, similar to how we did the French seam. Okay, I'm going to sew just just a little tiny bit past on this side of, on the hood side of the serging. And I'm going to back stitch here because this is going to be a stress point. And I'm just following just barely inside of, on the hood side of where the serging is. But you could do this without serging. You could zigzag this edge first. Whatever you, I would do just the hood though, so that the zigzag's not showing on the towel. Going over the French seam is the only bulky part of this. And I'm going to back stitch here as well. Okay, so, I mean that, I don't want it to look like this. I don't want that to show. And I'm knocking thread down. So I turn it over, and I'm going to fold this finished edge of the bath towel up. And now I'm just going to go over it and top stitch it. Once again, I'm going to be going over some bulk here. My machine might grumble a tiny bit. Anyway, you get the idea. So there's what it looks like from the inside. There's what it looks like from the outside. It's nice and finished on both inside and out. So hope somebody finds this helpful. Thanks. Bye.